Ladies and gentlemen, another story out of the Bronx. And let me preface this by saying real quick, because I got to say this, because I know I'm going to say some things that are not going to sit well with your sensibilities. And the story is going to have some details that might bother you as well. But in my humble opinion, I know I get a lot of people that email me and they think that I do too many of these type of stories, almost like I have a focal point on saying that mothers are bad people and stuff like that. And that's not the case at all. What I believe is that these children are just left vulnerable by the people who are in charge of taking care of these kids. And most of the time, the mothers are the custodial parents. So I'm always going to put the blame on the person who has custody of the kids. If it's the dad, and I say, hey, dads, we got to do better. We got to make smarter decisions. So that would be the case here with the mom being the custodial parent. It's a beautiful picture, beautiful, beautiful little girl, beautiful mom. But what happened to them is very tragic, okay? So that is your disclaimer. If you guys can't handle those type of opinions, then you might need to exit the video. But for everybody else, that mother's name is Gabrielle Muniz. I cannot pronounce that. M-U-N-I-Z. Muniz. The mother's name is Gabrielle. We'll say that. She's 26 years old. And Rosaura Estevez, who's 6 years old. That's her little girl right there. So I would have to assume that the man involved in this story is not the dad of this little girl. Both of them were found with several stab wounds across their bodies inside their first floor apartment on Monticello Avenue in the Bronx on Saturday evening. And I'm getting this story from thesun.com. So thank you, The Sun, for the article. Let's keep going. A heartbroken Yanika Rocha Muniz's mother and Rosaura's grandmother called her daughter an amazing daughter, mother, sister, and friend. She said, I have to bury my daughter and my granddaughter, and I just got to wrap my head around this right now. My daughter was an amazing daughter, mother, sister, and friend. She's that girl that everybody wanted to be like. The victim's sister said she believes her niece watched her mother die before being killed. I'm disgusted at what happened because it not only took my sister, but took my niece. I'm sure she watched her mommy die just before she was taken. Police identified the suspect as Muniz's boyfriend. How many more stories? How many more? I tell you guys this all the time. Every single day that I put these stories out, every single time that somebody pays a view, listens to these type of stories from anybody in the true crime family, you have an opportunity to make a different decision. If you know you're involved, you know what you like, you know who you like to have around yourself and your personal pleasures and all of that stuff. When you have children, you can't just get with some dude just because that's what you like. That's your preference. Because now you have another life involved that you need to put before yourself. If you guys look on my screen, that is mom's boyfriend. He is not much to look at all. Let me see if I can get a solo picture of him up here. Would you look at that? Look at this. This dude literally looks like somebody pulled his head out of a straitjacket. This dude's face looked like a chewed up piece of... Like, have you ever got one of those gumballs out of the machine and it's nice and big and solid and you take it and you put that big first bite in it and it's really, really hard. You got to mash it really hard to put some dents in it. That's what his face looks like. His face looks like a chewed up piece of bubble gum. Got tattoo tears on the face, which is never, never a good sign, right? Thuggish, ruggish, bone looking ass boy right here. And this is what you sacrificed your child for. That is a sacrifice when you say that I'm going to bring this individual. I'm sorry, but if you just look at his face and just look at him from the look, I judge a book by its cover. It just doesn't look like this is the type of person that should be around children. He looks like he should come with a warning sign. Warning, I rape. Warning, I might murder you. That's just what he looked like to me. But check this out. They actually talk about the red flags. I always talk about red flags and yellow flags. So it's funny that the Sun put this out there. But let's talk about this. This was mom's boyfriend, and his name is Caleb Dewberry. Caleb Dewberry, Dubberry. And guess what? When I said hashtag when you date thugs, you date death, he was on parole for assault at the time that this happened. You can get mad at me if you want to. I know it's not most people who listen understand, but there are a lot of people out there who still get mad at me about my words, but can't tell me what I said that was factually inaccurate, right? I called him a thug, and he was on parole. What does that mean when you're on parole? That means you are a convict. What does a convict mean? That means that you broke the law and needed to do prison time. Yes, thank you. Dumb-berry. D-U-M-B. Dumb. Caleb Dumberry. So mom dated a man on parole. Neighbor saw Dumberry. I'm going to call him Dumberry. Thank you, Lanisha. The neighbor saw Dumberry leaving the victim's apartment at around 4 p.m. on Saturday. According to the victim's family, the pair had been dating less than a year. And Rosaura was not Dumberry's child. I already said that, but it's okay. Red flags. I'm really good with vibes, and I honestly really didn't like him, according to Giselle, and she told that to the Post. Giselle said her sister worked from home for a law firm and was in school studying pharmacy. She was doing well, and I never expected this to happen. She said, I would never expect a man on parole to continue to violate the laws and people's human rights. How interesting is that? Never would expect a convict to continue to break the law, huh? Wish I could break out the world's smallest violin right now. I'd play you a sad song. It's almost like saying you never expected a comedian to tell a joke. So you're telling me you never expected a convict to continue to break the law and be violent. That is a paradox in itself. She did so much for her daughter, and that was her main motivation. I'm sorry, I'm just going to have a difference of opinion on that. Giselle called her niece a little beam of sunshine. She loved her unicorns, and she was so sweet. Just thinking about her and hearing her voice in my head. I can't believe this happened to her, too, and she was sweet and innocent. She just turned 6 years old. Officials tracked down Dumberry to the Boston Secor houses on Sunday afternoon, where they found him deceased of self-inflicted stab wounds. Wow. Sources told the Post that Muniz, the mother, had multiple stab wounds to her head, back, and arms, while the little girl, Rosaura, 6-year-old little girl right there, suffered blunt force trauma to the head, as well as multiple stab wounds to her face. A motive in the double slaying was not immediately known. Don't even need a motive. When you date thugs, you date death, and that's just what it is. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And by the way, if you guys would do me a favor, we want to have one thumb up for everybody who's listening. So if you would do me a favor and click that thumbs up, it'll help share this video and this story. And hopefully the more that we can share these stories, the more we can start to really spread a positive message to get people to make better dating choices and bring more stable individuals around our children. And maybe we don't need to bring anybody around our kids. If we already got kids, then maybe we just need to make that our focus, and maybe we should not date. I've suggested this before. Dating should be on the back burner when you have children. Children should come first.
I'm Joe Torres.
And I'm Sandra Bookman. We begin with a murder investigation in the Bronx. Police discovered a mother and her 6-year-old daughter dead. They'd been stabbed several times in their Monticello Avenue home.
Sources tell Eyewitness News the suspect behind their death is the mother's boyfriend. The victim's family spoke to our Kimberly Richardson, and she joins us from Edenwald with the latest developments. Kimberly?
Well, Joe, the victim's father tells me his daughter was planning to surprise him just next month and fly to Florida to see him. But instead, this entire family is trying to piece this together. Police came to a home just up the block here to check on the 26-year-old victim and her 6-year-old daughter last night. But instead, one investigator says it was the worst thing he's ever seen.
Two separate, very violent crime scenes here in the Bronx. The connection, a young mother, her 6-year-old little girl, and sources tell Eyewitness News the man who killed them both. Police have not yet formally identified the 26-year-old woman who lived here on Monticello Avenue. I spoke by phone with the victim's mother.
I had this idea that my baby was going to end up dead. I feel like I'm in shock. I feel like I'm keeping it pretty much together.
Police came to the ground floor apartment just before midnight Saturday evening for a wellness check and made a gruesome discovery. One investigator says the worst thing he's ever seen. Sources tell Eyewitness News the little girl was found dead in her bed under the covers, stabbed in her head. The child's mom also dead in the home where 3 knives were.
That means the little girl tried to hide. That is so sad. Couldn't leave a little girl alone, though. That is so sad. Found her under the covers. That means that she probably tried to hide.
Were located.
This girl had so much promise. My daughter was an amazing mom. She was a single mother. She was doing it all by herself. She was going to school, studying for medicine, pharmacology.
Sources tell Eyewitness News security cameras at the crime scene show Khalib Dewberry leaving the home. The victim's mom tells me Dewberry was dating her daughter, but was not the child's father. Roughly 12 hours after the murders, police got a call of a man involved in a homicide, barricaded inside of an 8th-floor apartment of this nearby building. Sources say it was Dewberry who ended up taking his own life. The young mother's father tells me just last year he was worried, asked police to check on his daughter.
Of course, she was afraid. So when they knocked on the door, everything was supposedly fine.
The sources tell Eyewitness News Khalib Dewberry had 5 prior felony convictions and that the 34-year-old was on parole.
Damn, how many prior... Ooh. He had how many prior felonies? Listen at this.
The sources tell Eyewitness News Khalib Dewberry had 5 prior felony convictions and that the 34-year-old...
5 felony convictions at 34?
The sources tell Eyewitness News Khalib Dewberry had 5 prior felony convictions and that the 34-year-old was on parole for attempted assault.
5 prior felonies. Look, man, I'm going to look into the camera and I'm going to just say, I know I'm going to have somebody leave a comment or email me and they're going to be mad about what I said about the mom. That proves that that is a horrible dating choice. If you are somebody who does not think that that is a horrible dating choice and that you made your bed and you had to lay in it, and your child is dead and you were dead as a result of your bad dating choices, then I'm not sure what to tell you. That is the epitome of a bad dating choice. A simple background check would have told you that. But look at how easy it is for us in the news and us in the media. You can simply Google search that. Even if you have to pay for a background check, you don't think even if a background check costs $20, you don't think that your child's life is worth that, to know who you're going to be sitting there bumping uglies with your kid around? You don't think it's not worth it for you to find out what's on this man's record? There is no amount of money that is too great to find out, or maybe you just don't need to be having sex. Maybe you having an orgasm ain't that damn important. It's not that important for you to get your cho-cha chewed on that damn bad that you resort to dating a man with 2 tears on his face. It ain't that damn important. And they make it seem like, oh, when she was in school and she was working for a law firm and she was a great mother and a great sister. Well, look, would you say the same thing about somebody if a man was working for a law firm and he works a great job and he's a great man, but he out raping and molesting kids? Would you think that he was still a solid individual? No, you would think that his whole reputation is on the line if what he did was dumb and at the detriment of children. I'm putting this to say that what this woman did was at the detriment of her daughter. You can't sit there and tell me that she is this great, awesome person, but you are bringing the thuggish, ruggish trash of the community and putting that around your daughter. 5 felonies is trash. Anybody disagree with what I just said? But you have to ask yourself, why would anybody disagree with what I just now said? What's the disagreement there? I'm saying put your children first, put yourself last. Your personal pleasures should be at the freaking back end before you do anything else. Kids first, take care of your bills and work and have a savings, build yourself up, take care of your family. Wait till your daughter gets old enough to be able to take care of herself. Then, once she gets out of your household, then go date all the murderous thugs, rapist thugs that you want to. When you don't have your kids around, when they're far away from your household, then do what you want to do. I think what I'm saying is very common sense, but I know somebody's going to look at it and say, I don't get it, DJ. I don't understand what you're saying. What are you saying? You're saying she was a bad mom? No, I'm not saying that at all. No. Why would I say such a thing?
For now, we're
This Bronx street is where a 26-year-old mother and her 6-year-old daughter took their last breaths Saturday.
Terrible. They haven't lived their life yet. They're still a baby.
Police say they responded to this home on Monticello Avenue in the Eastchester section of the borough just before midnight for a wellness check.
It's sad. It's sad.
When they arrived, they found the unimaginable. The young mom and her little girl in a bedroom, lifeless, with multiple stab wounds throughout their bodies.
On my way out this morning, I saw a couple of police. I was shocked. But to learn that is a mother and a daughter, it's shocking.
Hours after the gruesome discovery, police responded to a call for a barricaded gunman a mile and a half away. Police sources close to the investigation say the mother's boyfriend took his own life.
My heart goes out to the family of the deceased.
Now, as police investigate both crime scenes, neighbors, some who knew the mother and her daughter, are distraught.
Make sure that we say, I love you to our loved ones, because you never know when it's the last chance you might see them.
And police sources say multiple knives were found at the home here in the Bronx. Police say they are not releasing the name of that mother and her young daughter just yet. This investigation, far from over.
And we are staying in the
Too late, because we already did.
Bronx tonight, where there is more heartbreak. A mother and her 6-year-old daughter were found stabbed to death inside their apartment. Police say 26-year-old Gabrielle Muniz and 6-year-old Rosaura Estevez were stabbed several times. The suspect in the case is Muniz's boyfriend, who was also found dead at a different location. Eyewitness News reporter Naveen Dhaliwal has the story.
Tonight, detectives worked at the crime scene that some of them describe as the worst they've ever seen. 26-year-old Gabrielle Muniz and her 6-year-old daughter Rosaura were found stabbed to death, their family in disbelief.
I feel like I'm in shock. I feel like I'm keeping it pretty much together.
Here's what I'll never understand. Because I'm not going to call nobody's name out in particular. But it's an individual who's a friend of mine, and we talk about this thing all the time, and I already know what that person would say. But I would never understand how you would take yourself and your kid to the Thug Zoo. You go open up the Thug Lion cage, lock yourself up with the Thug Lion, and then you're surprised that the Thug Lion acted like a Thug Lion and mauled your face apart and your daughter. It's in a Thug Lion's nature. Why are you shocked by that?
Police arrived at the home on Monticello Avenue just before midnight Saturday and found the little girl under the covers in her bed, stabbed in her head. Gabrielle also dead. 3 knives were recovered at the scene.
My daughter was an amazing mom. She was a single mother. She was doing it all by herself. She was going to school, studying for medicine, pharmacology.
Her mother says Gabrielle was dating Caleb Dewberry. He was the last one seen on surveillance leaving the home before the bodies were discovered. 12 hours later, he was found dead in a nearby apartment building. Sources say he took his own life.
This relationship has been going on for years. And, I didn't like the guy. He used to take her money. He had control over her bank account.
Gabrielle's father says Dewberry didn't like his daughter's career goals and even became violent.
She told me that, yes, he used to beat her up. He broke 3 laptops that she had,
Let me let y'all hear this again, and you tell me, hashtag hood hoes love hood dick. Thank you, Keyshawn. How true is that hashtag? You guys can see the hashtag on my screen when people post the comments. That is an AFC hashtag. That is so true. This man literally just admitted on the phone that this man used to beat her up. That's his nature. And you stayed. You didn't leave. Matter of fact, people all the time always try to say, well, it's hard to leave once you're involved. How about you just don't get involved? Is it too hard to not get involved? It's like a freaking magnet. Like you can't control yourself. You're just attractive. You're just magnetized and drawn to bullshit. This man just said on the phone that she was beat up. That means every time she got beat up, she had a chance to leave and did not leave and ultimately met her demise. But you also had an opportunity not to even date a 5-time felon. You dig?
His daughter's career goals and even became violent.
She told me that, yes, he used to beat her up. He broke 3 laptops that she had.
Listen to Dad. This is her father saying this. Hashtag not my words.
To beat her up. He
violent.
She told me that, yes, he used to beat her up. He broke 3 laptops that she had, because he was jealous that she was being on the process of becoming a professional.
Tonight, detectives are working to find out what happened before Dewberry attacked and killed both mother and daughter.
And we start with that horrifying scene in the Bronx. A mother and her 6-year-old child stabbed to death inside their own bedroom. Police found the 26-year-old mother and her daughter in an apartment on Monticello Avenue in the Edenwald section. Police today closing in on a suspect on Bavona Street, just a mile from the murder scene. But police say the suspect took his own life. And News 4's Jessica Cunnington is live in the Bronx as a community now mourns the mother and daughter. Jessica?
Gilma, it is just really hard to process something like this. A young mother and her child are dead. We are just learning from police sources that they were both stabbed essentially all over their body. That 6-year-old little girl even stabbed in the face. We are now also learning the name of the suspect who was that young mother's boyfriend. His name is Caleb Dewberry. But I did speak with the 26-year-old victim's mother who's down in Florida. I spoke with her by phone. She just wants she doesn't want this horrific crime and these murders to take away from how beautiful these people were.
I have to bury my daughter and my granddaughter, and I just gotta wrap my head around right now.
A mother and grandmother missing a chunk of her heart tonight, gutted out after police found 26-year-old Gabrielle Muniz and 6-year-old Rosara Estevez dead and stabbed multiple times inside their first-floor apartment here on Monticello Avenue in the Bronx.
My daughter was an amazing daughter, mother, sister, friend. She's that girl that everyone wanted to be like.
Last night, just before midnight, police were called here after sources say someone on the 3rd floor heard banging and was concerned. They say Gabrielle's boyfriend, the suspect, was seen leaving the apartment around 4 p.m. yesterday. They'd only been dating less than a year, but he gave Gabrielle's mother a bad gut feeling.
I knew from the beginning who it was, and I just knew he just possessive.
Today, just after noon, police say her boyfriend was barricading himself here inside the Boston Secor houses on Bavona Street, about a mile away, and was then found dead of self-inflicted stab wounds. The man they believe murdered Gabrielle and Rosara. She was a full-time working mom and a pharmacy student focused on her goals, wanting to give little Rosara a good life. But for both of them, life was not long enough.
A young mother and a daughter. This is a lot to take in. Make sure that we say, I love you to our loved ones, because you never know when's the last chance we might see them.
And people in this neighborhood started their day, many of them walking to and from church, unfortunately passing this crime scene. And when they found out what happened, honestly feeling sick to their stomach. But tonight, as the sun goes down, people are still dealing with this crime scene. As you can see, Monticello is still blocked off, police still in there, detectives in there as well. But also, we do know tonight that the suspect, police tell us, Caleb Dewberry, is now dead.
So let me say this in closing. I know there's some people out there that will try to explain this to me, why women and mothers like bad boys. And I just don't think at this point it's even worth you wasting your breath trying to tell me and explain to me why the thug appeal, the dominant man, the alpha male, or whatever you want to call it, the non-law-abiding citizen, is attractive for whatever freaking reason, because the reasons don't matter to me. The result is what matters to me, right? We focus too much on feelings, and I feel. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I have conversations with people and they talk about, with women. Let me say with women that I talk to. I feel like. Rather than I know and presenting facts. I think facts should outweigh opinions and feelings. What we know is that a 5-time felon is a person that has not figured it out. What we know is that a 5-time felon is probably going to be a person that is going to be, what do you call it? There's a high probability that that person is going to have a violent streak in them. If they've been in jail and in prison that much, then and then they had to fight in prison all the time, it shows that they don't know how to follow the law and control themselves and behave appropriately, then they're not going to behave appropriately in your household. They have a propensity to do stupid stupid things. What stupid is as stupid thugs. Ain't that right, Lieutenant Dan? Hashtag hood hoes love hood dick. When you date thugs, you date death. These are all AFC hashtags. If I had to read them all, live by the thug, die by the thug. I think that's a good one. Don't y'all think that's a good one? I think that's a good one. You think that? I think it's a good one. Right? Live by the thug, die by the thug. Stupid is as stupid thugs. Date thugs, you date death. Hood hoes love hood dick. What other ones do we have? Yeah, we got a few other ones, but I think those are the most appropriate for this story. So for the family, here's what I want them to understand, because I know some people aren't going to get it. I'm not intentionally trying to disparage and devalue this woman's life. That's not what I'm doing here. I think that woman had a lot of value. I think her child had even more value to her life than the mom did, because we're supposed to value our children more than ourselves. We're supposed to give our children the best and give them better than what we had, right? We're supposed to elevate our children. And so that way they can grow up and become something great. What happened to this woman is a tragedy, but it's a tragedy that does not have to happen. It is a choice that we're making. We're choosing to put ourselves in dangerous situations. Why? Because of our feelings. We cannot be controlled by our feelings. We have to start using our logical minds. And even if you believe that my words aren't correct, or they might hurt your feelings, your feelings shouldn't matter as much as the actions that I'm trying to implore you to follow. And I'm talking to my young mothers out there. There are a lot of mothers out there, and even to our mothers and women in the chat right now, each one can teach one. You can all teach somebody, because women naturally follow. So that means that we're going to need some people that are leaders that need to step up and talk to some of these mothers. I can only do so much. Maybe my voice is just going on deaf ears. But every story that happened prior to this mother's heard these stories. She knows the situation. She could have easily, if she worked for a law firm, then you know, as a lawyer studying cases and stuff like that, this is a very, very common occurrence, dating these non-law abiding people. It's a very dangerous thing to do. Matter of fact, with your child being so young, I'm not even sure why you need to be dating. And matter of fact, if you're creating children, like, why are we not taking more time to make things work with the person that we create children by? We're just too quick to move on. We're bringing children into this world with no stability, with no plan of action, and just hoping to fall into love, and love will conquer all. And that's not the way that things work. This method is clearly not conducive to raising children, and I beg and I plead and I continue to do these stories because I hope that my words will matter to somebody. My words and the rest of the true crime community, words didn't matter in this situation, apparently, and the stories prior. But we keep presenting these stories hoping that the next mother, the next parent, the next person does not continue to go down this route. And I'm hoping that it will save children. And I hope that somebody can maybe even email me a story and say, hey, Jay, I made a better decision. Thank you for your video. And I didn't end up going down this road because I listened. Your feelings don't have to corroborate following instructions. The instructions are to do background checks, to put your children first. And if you are going to date, make sure that you date somebody that is reputable. Check that background check. This would have been something so simple to do. And make sure that you put your children in advantageous positions. So this story is being used as a cautionary tale, not only to say RIP to these two lost souls, to that third soul, to that man. We definitely don't care what happens to him. But to these two lost souls, the mother and the little girl, this didn't have to happen, and we wish them an RIP. It's a beautiful little girl. But we hope that these stories can save somebody else. And that's what we're hoping to do. So to them, RIP. Thank you guys so much for listening to this story. Make sure you share it, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe. Make sure you guys share this story, and maybe we can start saving some people out here from making decisions that are not conducive to children. We can prevent them from making these type of decisions and maybe hope that they'll make better decisions for their children. Put the children first. Thank you guys for listening. Get a little tongue-tied there sometimes. All right, I do have a couple more stories if you guys have time. I'm about to turn this fan back on. Hold on. Uh-oh, hold on. That's too fast. There we go. Get my fat boy on there. But I had to turn that fan on. It was starting to get hot in there. I don't want to turn the air conditioning on. Because, again, I don't never know what the temperature is going to be out here in Texas and Oklahoma. You said you will share it. Thank you, Daniel's Art Animation. Said you'll share it. I appreciate that. Wow. Sandy Hurd said it. Wow. I agree with you. She said his background was on his face. I totally agree with you. You are not gonna get an argument from me on that one. I 100% agree with you. I got a couple more stories that I want to tell you guys about. Let me thank a couple of people that donated real quick. Lanisha Lewis, are you still in the chat? Said it's buffering. It could be buffering. Uh-oh, yeah, it is. Uh-oh. Hold on.